and for the first time she blushed like a maiden in love. She had not realized it yet, but her heart was thumping and she felt a warmth there. One that rose to her cheeks and made her embarrassed. One that changed from the usual coldness and distance she put from others. That day the table had turned and Neko-san felt flustered at Seno-kun's remarks. What's up guys, Kai Manga here and welcome to the only manga recap channel that doesn't use AI. Today I'll be recapping the ongoing romance manga Tonari no Neko to Koi Shirazu. Sit down and enjoy. So our story all begins with our main character Seno. Ever since he was young, Seno has been a very timid kid, always being scared of social interactions. Due to that, he has always had trouble in school making good friends and even being popular. However, he knows he can't always be like this, and this year of high school where our story begins, he wants to change that. To help himself, he has a friend he knew from middle school that gives him advice on the phone, but still, that isn't enough. Now we are in the beginning of the high school year, and Seno, who's a good student, is asked by a teacher to sit next to a classmate who's known to be sleeping most of the time. Her name is Neko-san, and although Seno is nervous about sitting next to her, he knows this could be his chance to finally make a new friend and overcome his shyness. My guy's social anxiety is really bad though, as soon as he thinks about it, he gets so anxious he has to go to the nurse to calm down. Though when he comes back, calms down and takes his seat, he can't help but glance at the sleeping figure beside him. Neko-san's face is hidden behind a curtain of hair and she seems completely oblivious to the world around her. Seno stares at her for a while and then decides to wake her up so she doesn't end up running late for class. As he musters his strength to do so and whispers to her, Neko-san pulls him towards her and somewhat hugs him. She then breathes a lot and weirdly grips to him. Actually, it turns out she was still asleep. Anyways, as she opens her eyes, she stares at Seno-kun and he can see that she looks really beautiful, even half asleep. She has messy but long dark hair and a beautiful and piercing gaze, but Seno has no time to admire her looks. Before then, she just calls him random names and then slams her face because she falls back asleep. Neko-san is definitely a weird girl, and this interaction made our man Seno completely beat red as he can barely breathe due to this overall experience. Let's not forget that he has social anxiety there. In the end, Seno couldn't really talk to her a lot and Neko-san ended up not going to class, but this first experience with her made him extremely curious and dumbfounded about this weird girl. Anyways, later that day, Seno ends up walking home and he sees a cat cafe. Curious about it, our man Seno decides to head here, and as he walks up to the stairs of the cafe, he runs up into none other than Neko-san. What a surprise. Seno's reaction is funny here as his anxiety takes over him and he ends up going in the cafe with Neko-san. There he is surrounded by weird looking cats, but among them is the weirdest cat of all, and her name is Neko-san. She asks him how Seno knows her name, to which he responds that they are in the same class and even sit neighbors. She's so out of this world that she forgot that. As the two of them discuss, Seno learns that she loves cats and spends her days working there at the cat cafe. Neko-san also asks Seno not to tell anyone about her working at the cafe, even buying him a drink to buy his silence. At night, Seno thinks of this weird encounter with this weird girl, and his friend even mentions that he could be in love with her. This is probably the start of a wonderful love story, right? What do you think? Well, the next day, Seno is really hyped and wants to make Neko-san and his friends even more. He heads to the classroom and excitedly greets her. However, our weird girl Neko-san just asks him who the fuck he is, as she has already forgotten about our main's name. I mean, that girl clearly has cats in her mind, and that's all there is to it. That's all, there's no more stuff. Anyway, Seno doesn't give up and tells her that he wants to show her something. He pulls out a drawing he made of a samurai he saw on Neko-san's desk, thinking she drew that, and she makes one of the funniest faces I've seen in a manga as she confusedly looks at it and says, her words by the way,
"Hey, what's that? That looks ugly as hell."
Anyways, that shakes our guy Seno and he looks really down, and the chapter ends with him wondering if they'll really become friends. They are two polar opposites, and well, it's not always working in most cases. Well, to those curious, we'll know real soon guys, real soon. The next day, Neko-san is still sleeping, unbothered as fuck. She's a queen, and our main Seno still wants to be friends with her. As he walks outside the classroom, he sees a stray cat. He calls the cat Mugi and keeps playing with the cat for a while. That's when he realizes that someone is walking behind him and actually staring at him talking alone to a cat, and that person is none other than Neko-san. She tells him a bit about cat, and she also tells him that Seno calling the cat Mugi is a bit weird because Neko-san's first name is actually Mugi. Okay guys, let's get this straight. Her name is Mugi, her surname is Neko-san. That girl is just a cat girl, right? Like there's no other things. It's the whole point of her just being a cat in a human body, right? She even behaves like one. As the both of them then head home, Seno is a bit down as he thinks he messed up by just weirding her out because Neko-san is just a weird girl that gets weirded out easily, it seems. But to his surprise, she actually says goodbye to him and even mentions him by name, showing that she finally remembers him. Seno is really happy by that, and the day ends on this good note. Now the next day, same thing, same plan. Neko-san is sleeping and Seno wants to be her friend. Wait, actually no, she's not sleeping and she's actually fully awake. She's watching something as well on her phone. Seno seizes the chance to talk to her as he asks her with all his might if she's watching a video, as if she's not obviously doing this right now. Our cold girl just say yeah, and the two of them stare at each other awkwardly. But it's Seno we're talking about, and he's praying that he finds something to say to keep the conversation going. However, he's saved by our cat girl as she simply breaks the ice by telling him that she's watching dishwashing videos. And our man Seno is so hyped by her responding and happy for that he screams and runs on how great watching dishwasher videos are. That's rare. He is. When he's home, Seno decides to watch dishwasher videos, and the next day, after studying the framework of dishwashers for hours, he comes prepared. He runs again and tells Neko-san in his awkward manner how great dishwashers are, and our best girl just tells him that no, not actually. To be honest, not really, yeah, dishwashers are not really cool. She actually tells him that watching cat videos are better, and she even gets her chair closer to him so they can watch it together. Our cold queen even puts out one earphone in Seno's ear so he can hear the cats, and the two of them watch the videos. Seno is blushing really hard because this is the closest he's been to anyone this time. He's like social anxiety mode 100, but he's also enjoying this. It turns out that while Neko-san is actually a very cold person, she's also extremely kind. She didn't brush off Seno and even help him with his social anxiety and awkwardness. And for the first time, Seno also sees that Neko-san is truly smiling. As she watches the cat contents, she looks adorable, and the day ends up on a good note for Seno as he got closer to her. The next day, we end up seeing Neko-san at her job. She plays with cats and seems to enjoy it. Let's note that the cats really lick her and seem to be really eager to play with more than usual. Then comes time for classes, and Neko-san seems distant with Seno-kun. That day, in fact, when Seno tries to make conversation, she even seems embarrassed to be here. Seno is deeply shy and hurt by this, but decides to fix whatever mistake he might have made. Neko-san then heads back to her job, and with her coworker, she discusses on how she's shy about her smell, and also that she uses towels because she's insecure about herself smelling bad. For the first time, she is shown being self-conscious, but then her coworker reassures her that it's probably not the case, and that the cats actually lick her a lot because she had a stain of cat food on her. The thought of smelling like food makes Neko-san a bit shy, and the next day she still seems a bit distant. But this time she also feels bad for rejecting Seno back then, as he was just trying to be friends and be kind to her. So she then decides to show him picture of cats, and the two of them seem to go back to normal as they sit next to each other and watch cat videos. Seno seems to be relieved that she wasn't mad or anything, but suddenly he makes a remark that he smells something. What's with the smell? He sees some food and says that the food must come here. But unknown to him, Neko-san couldn't believe what was happening. For the first time ever, she felt herself blushing because of Seno-kun's remark. Her heart was beating like crazy, and a warm feeling spread from her chest all the way to her cheeks. She was deeply embarrassed, so much so that she had almost instantly after the comment moved back to her seat and put her hoodie on to hide her beet red face. Our boy Seno is confused by it and goes to sleep thinking that Neko-san actually hates him now. But is it the case? Well, you know more for the next episode. If you want to see an episode 2 of this manga recap, then if we reach 200 likes, I'll make the next volume. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to support me, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for another manga recap. Comment what you thought of it.